Hey there, my name is Gavin, and this video I'm going to be sharing why and how A Course in Miracles is the spiritual answer you've been looking for. Now, if you're here, it's usually probably two reasons, okay? Number one, you came across this video because you're looking for more answers. You're looking for something to help spiritually practice so you can have the life that you know is possible. And you came across A Course in Miracles and kind of wondering, like, what is this? Is this for me? Could this be it? Or number two, you're already a course student and you're either deciding if you want to continue or wanting some more clarification and just trying to figure out, like, what is this about and should it be what I focus on? So I can relate to both of those things, and let's dive in and take a look right now. Okay, so if this is the first time you've ever come to my channel, welcome. It's called Dissolving Illusion. I would absolutely love it if you subscribed and liked and commented it if you like this video. Dissolving Illusion, what is that? Real quick, it's about understanding who you really are. It's about finding your truth. It's about living from the experience of love and allowing that to unfold everywhere in your life, because that's what's real. Love is real, all right? So I created this channel to share how to do that. And most of what I teach and like the principles are based on A Course in Miracles. I know this is kind of, every time I say this, and I've just been saying it recently, feels weird to say, but I feel called to get A Course in Miracles out to the masses. Like it's only been around for, gosh, I mean, what, like early 80s, late 70s, I think. Not too long, and it's some radical stuff that is hard for people to understand. But I think most people misunderstood it, just like I did. I so get it, right? So let's take a look at why A Course in Miracles may and is likely the spiritual answer you've been searching for. So if you're like me, you've come across a lot of different things. I could go on and list like Abraham Hicks and Wayne Dyer. And I mean, I could go on and on and on, no need to do that. But you've probably gone through books and books. If you're like me, you've been to seminars and you've spent a lot of money trying to find answers, right? Like, you know, something is missing. You know, your life should be going better than it is. And that you feel like if you had those answers and you had some more solutions and you could get those gaps filled, then you could be a lot more happier. You could understand like what love is, and you could really enjoy your life with love and abundance and all the wonderful things, right? Well, that was me. And that's why I went from thing to thing. And I'm not knocking anything out there. I think so. There's many paths to God, right? And I'm not saying this is even going to be right for you. Yet I do want to share what separated A Course in Miracles for me compared to other things. And this is the why answer. This is why A Course in Miracles may be the spiritual answer you've been looking for. Well, I felt like a lot of the other things I learned, some of those people I just named, like Abraham Hicks, is wonderful. It teaches you how to manifest, increase your vibration, stay in a better, energy to then attract the things that you want, right? Yet that felt more like a tool to me, okay? There's so many gaps there that still seem to be missing. Number one on the list, like God, like how do I experience and connect God? And I know what Abraham would say to that, but it still just felt like, again, a tool rather than like a solution and a spiritual practice that would fill in all the gaps for me. And that's what A Course in Miracle has done. Now, I will say that I completely understand that when you first, if you've been a course student, or if this is you're coming across it, when you first read it, it's going to be tough. In the beginning, for me, it felt very Bible-y, and anything Bible-y, anything like religion-based, I would consider myself to be spiritual and not religious, was always like kind of a turnoff to me, because if, I know this is like a judgment talking about a judgment, but I just felt like, a lot of the stuff I learned in church seemed judgmental. Like I had to like accept Jesus or I was going to go to hell. And that wasn't the God I wanted to believe in. I wanted to believe in a God that was completely loving no matter what, and accepted and loved everybody no matter what, right? And I found that with A Course in Miracles, and it filled in the gaps. So how did it fill in the gaps? When so much of the stuff out there is like inspirational, it's like positive thinking, is mindset, wonderful, okay? But I could never get my mind around like what was causing the problems in my life. Like why weren't things working the way I wanted? Like I used to be a possibility mindset mentor, right? So I've done a lot of study on like how the mind works. And so it was kind of like, I would teach, hey, this is how to stay positive and look on the bright side of everything. And, what you think you're seeing could be looked at in a different way, which is all true. It's wonderful. Okay. But what A Course in Miracles taught me that I wasn't understanding before is that this is all a dream, that this is an illusion. And I'll explain a little bit more about that on the how. But once I started understanding a new perspective, and that my perceptions were actually being projected out into the world, and that I was causing everything. And then with this book, A Course in Miracles, you add in a workbook that walks you through the process of how your brain's working, why you're seeing what you're seeing, and why that's causing the problems, like your separation from God and separation from love, and like the anger and disappointment and sadness from that. Then I was able to make sense of all of it. So it brought together almost every teaching I've ever come across, and actually was like all the pieces in one. Okay. And that made all the difference. And so once I was able to, and by the way, I quit A Course in Miracles over and over and over. In the beginning, I was like, this is awesome. And then I was like, this is too radical. This is too hard. Like, I can't get around the illusion and quite a few other things. Yet I kept coming back to it. Why would I come back to it? It's because it always had the answers that I couldn't find anywhere else. It always resonated with me in such a deeper level than anything else. And it was kind of like that girlfriend that like I took for granted. It was kind of like, oh yeah, the relationship's great, but I'm gonna go try something else, go, date other people. And it could be a boyfriend, and this didn't necessarily happen to me, but it's a good example. And so I finally one day realized like everything that I was looking for and all these other things was here in A Course in Miracles, and it was the whole package. And so I committed to A Course in Miracles, I'd say a few years ago. I've been practicing it like 13 to 15 years off and on again, but about 2 to 3 years ago, I was like, nope, this is it. And because of that, everything has changed. You want things to change and transformation in your life, A Course in Miracles is it. Okay, so the next question, how? How does A Course in Miracles, or how can A Course in Miracles be the spiritual answer you've been looking for? And, there's a lot of other videos I've created that explain A Course in Miracles, but here's the biggest thing, the biggest difference for me, and that I'm very confident it'll be for you, and I'm confident that in the coming years it's going to be the answer the masses are looking for. I mean, we're going through the coronavirus right now. There's 5th week of quarantine. People are taking a look at their life, at what's going on in the world, if they're happy, if what they've been doing is how they want to spend their time, who they are, what their purpose is, their function, like all these things. Everybody's being forced to really look at that. And I've been looking at that for years, right? And I knew for years, like I wasn't happy. Like I had everything that most people would say, hey, this is what makes you happy. A wonderful family, wonderful marriage, the house, the cars. I've said this before, like a good job, making money, like traveling, vacations, friends. Yeah, there's always was something missing. And I would go to all these things, and I would go to seminars and jump up and down, and I would feel good. Like, oh yeah, and that was like the reminder. That was the reminder of like what was possible. And like that temporary feeling of the awareness of like what's within me and that happiness and that joy. But it was manufactured through this big thing. And weeks after I would leave those seminars, or days, minutes after I'd read those books, like that feeling, that knowing would just go with it, right? And so how A Course in Miracles is different and is the answer is that on a daily basis, through using time, which is an illusion, but I have started seeing and understanding again what the problem was, that how I was viewing the world, like all the things that I thought was missing, all my sadness, my anger, my depression, my lack, my limitation, I was projecting out into the world. So I thought everything I was seeing was real, okay? And therefore I kept perpetuating that perception. I kept creating that in a multitude of different ways, but the same story would happen over and over again. And it was so frustrating. It's like, oh, I'd make some growth and then boop, back to the old things, because that's what was in my mind. That's what I thought was true through a whole lifetime of perceptions, of experiences. I kept carrying out the same story in a multitude of different ways, and it was frustrating, and I knew there was more. And if you're here watching this video, you know there is more. And so what A Course in Miracles did is it showed me what I was missing. It showed me the gaps. It showed me the illusion, okay, that what I think is real is not what's really happening out there, that only love is real. And when I first heard that, I was like, only love is real. Like, I believe in love, but no, there's so much atrocity and crap and garbage and heartache and stuff out there. Like, you have to be blind not to see that, God. You have to know that that is not true. It's not only love, right? And, I'd say God's answer back to me was like, okay, if you want to keep believing that, then you're going to keep seeing that, and that's going to keep being your experience, and you're going to keep causing the same problems. And so eventually I started getting it. I was like, oh my gosh, like when I started doing what it taught and creating miracles, okay, and I started healing my perceptions about how I viewed other people, my judgments I had about the world, like my world started changing drastically, right? And so whether your business or your health or your relationships, when you heal those things and you have a practice that will show you how to heal what you see out there that is wrong with your business or your health or your relationships or anything, and you heal within you and choose to see those things differently from a perspective of love, they will radically change. And that's why, like, I love the law of attraction. But when you are able to heal your mind and see only truth, the law of attraction just happens naturally. It's a really cool thing. And that's a misunderstanding. Like, people are like, they feel like they have to sacrifice something to practice A Course in Miracles, that it's really hard. And in the beginning, when you are changing your mind, it's not easy, okay? Because you've lived your whole life believing something that's not true is true, right? So, I mean, yeah, it's a change. But one of these stories I like to tell is like when I was little, I didn't like broccoli, and let's say you put in any vegetable you didn't like, and for years and years and years, I thought I knew what broccoli was, and I thought I knew how it tasted, and I knew that it was shit, right? And one day when I was an adult, I decided to try broccoli again when I was an adult, and it was an appetizer. And it was so good. I think it had cheese and butter and all these other things with it. But like my mind was like, no, broccoli only looked this way. And I made a judgment on it. I perceived a certain way, and I was like done and off with it. And I feel like that's what's happening in the world, is that they make a judgment about A Course in Miracles or something and label it something right from the beginning as blasphemy or different than what I want or too Bible-y or too difficult to understand. And then they move on to the next distraction, the next shiny object. I was that dog that just went everywhere. Like, oh my gosh, I want to try this. I want to try this. And I learned a lot, and there's a lot of good stuff, but I could just never find anything that tied it together. And when I learned like that I liked broccoli, it's the same thing I eventually learned with A Course in Miracles that I didn't understand. I didn't know what I didn't know. And as I'm learning more and more about how illusions work, it's made a big difference. So the how, right? Talking about the how of Course in Miracles, I'm going to tackle this real quick. One of the biggest and most important themes in A Course in Miracles is forgiveness. It is not the forgiveness that what most people teach, that, oh, somebody did something wrong, you have to accept responsibility for that, and you have to apologize, and then like God forgives you. No, completely different. Forgiveness from the Course in Miracles perspective is that when we perceive that somebody has done something wrong, something bad, let's say they've robbed somebody, then A Course in Miracles is actually forgiving them, not from the physical form that for what they did and that they've taken, responsibility for their actions and they truly feel bad and feel sad. It's that we forgive them, that we've judged them as being a thief, that we look at them as love, that we accept who they are as a son of God, as a daughter of God, as us, right? And we see the truth in them rather than the physical distraction, you could say, of what we think they physically did. And you go deeper, and this is hard for people, but like my perception of them was like as thief, and we do this in so many different ways: the color people's skin, how much money they make, what schools they've gone to, the decisions they made with their life, just judgment after judgment after judgment. And guess what we're doing? We are judging ourselves, because at some level we believe those things are possible. We've done those things and we are projecting them onto them, which is causing what's happening in this world. And then when we judge them, it's causing us pain. It's causing us suffering, because it doesn't feel good to like see other people doing bad things. So when you do what the Course teaches, and this is a big part of what the Course teaches, to forgive what did not happen and to give that person as your brother and as one with God, and to see them as truth and as love, then the illusion gets dissolved and that person is healed and you're healed. Okay, now that's a quick explanation and maybe a lot to swallow, and a lot of people may say, I don't know about that, but I'm here to tell you it's the backbone of your problems. It's the foundation of A Course in Miracles, and it's a foundation of how you can actually start experiencing the love, the possibility, the abundance, the joy that's within you. We're so damn busy judging everybody else, like, oh, if they did this, or if they did that, or they should wear this, or look, everything. Our mind thinks that everything we see is true, and it's mostly bullshit. Everything you think about people, the clothes they wear, how they're acting, their choices, their decisions, like that you haven't figured out and that they're wrong, and that ego in you makes you feel better, and it's making everything effed up in your world, right? So you want a spiritual practice that explains to you in detail what's really happening, explains to you truth, helps you understand the cause of your pain, the cause of your problems, and then doesn't just leave you hanging, shows you exactly how to fix that, how to repair that, how to heal that, so that you can experience your oneness with God, that you can come from a place of love, that you can come from a place of understanding and no judgment and acceptance. And you don't need anything out there to happen the way you want it to happen, because you're good within here, because you see. I can't imagine my life right now. I used to be so unhappy. I don't need anything out there to happen anymore the way I expect it to happen in order to be happy. I am happy. I am connected to God. I do remember that. When I see upsetting things, I remember quick. And that is the miracle, a change in perception. And people misunderstood Jesus. He saw the world for what it was. He saw the illusion. And he thought any lack, limitation of abundance, joy, or love was a complete joke. And every action, every thought, every word he spoke was the remembrance of truth. And that's how he was able to like project these miracles because he saw and lived only truth. And that's possible for all of us. God loves us no matter what. We're home with God right now, and we're in the process of remembering that. So you can live A Course in Miracles in all these areas of relationships and business and all these things. And yes, there is a leap of faith and a jump that you have to make. But I am here to tell you and show you and be that remembrance in the world of what's possible for you if you're willing to do it. So I hope you've understood the why. I just went through the how. I have other videos on like miracles and manifesting, and go watch my introduction to Dissolving the Illusion. That'll explain more. Stay the course if you're a course student. And yes, absolutely, if you're considering this is the answer. This will get out to the masses, and someday we'll look back, whether it's 10 years or 100 years, and be like, oh my gosh, can you believe this was ever questioned? This is the solution so many people have been looking for, and I'm looking forward to putting it out there. So subscribe. I would love to hear a comment. Ask me any questions. If you think I'm full of shit, whatever, that's fine too. But I have nothing but love for you. I see you. I know your struggle. I know why you're searching. I'm thinking your search is over though. Dive into this. Come on this journey with me. And I'm looking forward to building this relationship and going deeper down this path of reconnecting with who we really are with you. So, much love, my friend. I will see you soon on another video. Take care.